It's just one of these things that happened. As a saying, Shigata, there's certain things that's not under your control. That's the way it was supposed to be. Yeah. And you can't dwell on bad things. You have to look forward. I mean, how could you go forward if you keep looking back? You know? I mean, it's a horrible thing that happened. It should never happen to anybody else. But the way I look at it, you can't look back. Just have to look forward. I mean, I'm sure that we were fortunate that my parents were so grounded and so loving, and we had a strong family. I know that there are people that were suicidal. I know there are probably people who had mental illness, abuse. Some people were not able to survive. So I don't want it to take it for granted that everybody had a chance. That isn't the case. This is my story. Okay. There are many things that happened in camp. Camp was very hard. It was very hard for my dad. You know, there was just nothing. We just were uprooted. We had 1 week to get ready to go, 1 suitcase each, and my dad obviously had to get ready to go. We went from Tracy to Turlock for the first part of our journey. I think we went in, according to the date that I have, we went in on May the 8th. I was 4 years old, just turned 4 in April. And the horse stable, I mean, really, literally was in a fairground. You imagine going to the county fair and you see the horses, you know. But that's where our accommodation was. The Turlock Assembly Center had just opened, and we were there shortly after, you know. So nothing was, later on they might have built barracks, but the time we went there, there was nothing. Let's face it, it was not a picnic at all, you know. Being a child and everything, it was very scary. I remember my sister running around with my cousin, and they would say, "Oh, we have a horse up here, you can't see it," you know, talking and teasing me, and I would say, "I want to see the horse," you know, making up things. And my sister was able to, you know, go along with my cousin and peers, and, you know, in camp, the children ran pretty freely because it was safe for them, but very little interaction. And we didn't go to camp to Arizona until about the end of July, I believe, because it was very hot. When we, after our stay at the horse stable for all those months, we were put in a train, and nobody knew where we were going. The shades in the train was down the whole time, and I can't tell you how many days it took us to get there. I was a little child at the time. When we got to camp, it was very disorganized, very dirty, nothing that my mother would ever put up with. I mean, it was just unbelievable. It was a one-room place. Our room was one room, very little privacy, hardly none at all. And now I know why my parents only had 3 children. Life in camp was very hard. It was very unforgiving. The weather was very bad. It was very cold in the wintertime, hot in the summertime, without any AC at all. So temperature rose from maybe 105 to 115 during the summer, but always cold at night. The desert becomes very cold at night. Looking back, I feel it was pretty appropriate that we were in Gila River, Arizona. Like the Arizona Phoenix, we were able to face catastrophe. We survived, we were stronger, and we became very powerful. For me, I had hesitation about doing this presentation. I didn't realize that I had all this buried in me. I think it was therapy for me, that I was able to face it and own it and think, hey, this is what I went through. You know, I don't have bitterness on it, but I covered it up, you know, and I had to have encouragement and prompt, like, do it, you have to do this, you know, type of thing. Even my niece said to me, I think you should do it because you feel that you need to talk about it, you know. Because she said you tell strangers about it. Why won't you talk about it? You know, it's something that was buried, I think, in my life for 80 years. And thinking back, the hardship that my parents went through. I mean, my mother was 23 years old. You know, at that age, we said, "Mom, why'd you let this happen to you?" You know. My dad was 9. What was he? He was 9 years difference, about about 31 or so. You know, how could you let this happen to you? And their answer was, Shigata nai. We could have been shot and killed. You know, but my sister would hardly ever talk about it. Okay, and right now she's having mental dementia, I think. My brother said, I don't want to talk about it, we'll just go on past. And I think that's why he was able to contribute so much to the society. And it was his way, I think, of dealing with it. I am so surprised that so many people survived the mental illness that they must have had, that they had to cover up. The people that went into 442nd, they were drafted. They didn't volunteer. That was another thing. People said they were drafted. Yeah, they were drafted. First, they take away your citizenship rights, and then they tell you to serve your country. I mean, can't imagine what they went through. I mean, everybody has a story. But I feel that, for me, at this point, I feel I own it. I faced it. I could go on. I survived. And maybe that's part of the Arizona Phoenix. I've been asked to give talks to different junior high children, and I have a friend that was teaching special gifted children, and I did give a talk in Castro. Now they call it middle school, but it's more the school district. At the time, I think it was Castro Junior High. I did talk about my experience in camp and what we had to go through in the class. This is maybe a class of 25 students, and there were a lot of Asian children there. And at the end of the session, they gave, I got a thank you card from the classroom. And each child wrote comments on their thank you card. And many of the children that were Asian background said, now I know why my grandparents never talked about it. I'm so glad you told us about what happened. They were just amazed that they never knew this happened, because the Issei people would not talk about it. It was from looking back, I think that a lot of the Issei people felt like it was an embarrassment that they were there. They said, Shigata nai, we got to help, we can't do anything about it. Hopefully with this presentation, that this will go on and that something can be something can be done about it. We have to enlighten people to see what happened. Many people you talk about it say, well, we didn't know that happened. They weren't born. How would they know? It's not in the history books or anything. So I can't blame the children. I think that the more we expose people to this, that the more, people would not let something like this happen again.